Hi, this is Rob Kramarz, founder of Intelliversity. We're here today with an exciting company, Innovative Neuro Technologies. This is the second segment. I have before me the CEO, Vince Simmon, and the Chief Scientific Officer, Shawn I have to pronounce this correct, Mojtahedian. I just want to remind you that this is not a solicitation to buy securities. It's not an offer to sell securities. This is a training video for entrepreneurs and hopefully investors as well to find out what really works in raising capital and in succeeding as a company in the scientific domains. It was really interesting the last segment because you guys were really clear in your frustration in capturing mind share with the investment community. You're an early stage company, you've licensed your technology out of the university, you're not the actual innovator of the technology, yet you're passionate, and yet it's been so difficult to get mind share. What I want to do is turn that a little bit around and ask you, because I know a lot of our listeners share that frustration. What is it you think investors ought to like about you guys, about your company, and about you as individuals?
Shawn? Well, as we mentioned, clearly there's a difficult time right now for early stage capital, which is forcing entrepreneurs, especially the early stage biotech field, to come with alternative models for successful companies. And I think we feel we've introduced a model. We're essentially a virtual biotech company, which means that we've assembled a management team, a small team, which is strictly going to focus on product development. So we're not interested in the whole classic brick and mortar biotech company. We want to keep cost least amount and product efficiency at the maximum.
Okay.
And we certainly feel that today, which we might have not had 20 years ago, we have contract research organizations, contract manufacturing organizations, CROs, CMOs that we have access to, that are willing to do the work with us on a cost-sharing, risk-sharing basis. In other words, we can use their facilities and not build those facilities in-house. And our team works with their internal team to strictly move the product forward to clinical development.
Okay, one moment before Vince answers. So, educational note here. Their attempt is to utilize CROs to reduce the costs to the company, contract research organizations, and also, if possible, to actually get the CROs to participate on an equity basis in the funding of the company. That is to provide their services at discount in exchange for equity. And that's a risk reduction strategy or a cost reduction strategy. What about you two as a team? What do you think investors should really like about you two as a team?
Well, I think we bring completely complementary skills to the task. Shawn is a recent graduate in neuroscience. I've been practicing in the biotechnology since 1979, so I was on one of the very earliest biotech companies. I've run public and private companies, and have focused my managerial efforts for the last 15 years in the CNS, or the central nervous system where Alzheimer's lies, kind of space. So I bring that kind of expertise into the company, and Shawn brings a more recent experience in the laboratory.
Okay, so what is it about your relationship to each other that we should know? First of all, how long have you known each other?
We kind of answer this one. So the company, Innovative Neuro Technologies, is in Irvine, so we're in Orange County. I met Vince about a year or so ago at a networking event in Orange County, and I think we clicked right away. I think the subject matter really brought us together. We were both very passionate about this field. We have a keen interest in the CNS. And
Had you already licensed the technology at that time?
No.
This is
No.
prior to that. Did one of you already know that it was available to be licensed, and the other? Which one of you found?
Well, this was an iterative process. It wasn't as if we met and decided this is it, we're going to do this. We went through a review of what Shawn had been looking at up to the point of the time that we met, and we sort of narrowed it down because it was my belief that in the current environment we had to be as cost efficient as possible. And Shawn was actually looking at a broader spectrum of things, and we got it down to, let's do Tau. And once we did that, then we said, let's look at all the Tau opportunities that are out there and what ones really make the most sense.
So, at that point, you decide to work together immediately at that point? Was there a honeymoon period where you had to get to know each other? When did you decide to tie the knot and make a deal together?
Well, we went through a process of talking about the science, which we were both excited about, and talking about different ways of obtaining funding for a small startup company. And from that, we evolved to the point of saying, we'll work together on this.
So was there a particular moment in time when you decided you could trust each other? For example, you're more the scientist, a little more skeptical. Was there a particular point in time when you were triggered to, oh, gee, I can trust Vince?
Well, I'll address that question. First of all, in terms of my pedigree and training, Vince knows where I came from, who I trained under. There's certainly a circle of neuroscientists that we both know and work with, and certainly there's a level of respect. To be honest with you, all I have to do is look at Vince's resume, which is quite extensive, and realize this is a very experienced veteran of the field. And trust is always an issue, but I just feel this is a true professional.
I see.
And as we spoke, it didn't seem to be a
Vince, was there a particular trigger point that you said to yourself, this is a guy that I want to tie my wagon to?
Yes, I think it was a result of that whole process that I described of looking at the various technologies and getting it down, and that Shawn was willing to listen, despite the fact that he had other ideas when we met, but he was willing to listen to my suggestions and follow up on them. And once we agreed on what we thought was the best project to tackle, then it was just natural that we partnered up to do it.
Okay. So now that, since you've gotten together, have you found that are there any differences in your leadership style and how you approach the business? You know, for example, one of you is more the execution master, and one of you is the more long-term vision master.
Well, I'll claim the long-term vision master, but it was a lot of information that Shawn provided to me that helped me get to that position. And Shawn has been the guy in the trenches.
I see. Interesting.
In terms of putting the company together, the initial stages, so I was involved with that. I have been in the trenches, I have been on the phones, I have been into the meetings, as it were, but I don't execute anything that's relevant to the company unless I have Vince's input.
I see. All right, great. Well, I want to conclude this segment with your advice that you could give other entrepreneurs about forming a complementary team like this.
Well, it's difficult in the abstract to do that, but you don't want somebody who just says yes to everything that you do. You don't want a sycophant who's just going to agree with you all the way. You need somebody who's a reality check, who's constantly asking, how do you know that? Do you know it for certain? And that takes a bit of that trust you were talking about. If I'm constantly questioning somebody and say, how do you know that? Well, do they think believe he's a liar or something? No, I want to understand how he got to that point.
All right. Very good.
First of all, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Vince's knowledge and expertise. So certainly I have certain views and ways I want to do things, but I also have an argument behind that. So we do argue, and which I think is healthy, but we like to come to the kind of the best solution to that problem. But there's, I think, that mutual respect that we've established.
Well, that's good. Good to hear. We're going to pick up in the next segment is we're going to take a little deeper dive into what this team is doing to reduce the risk, the perceived risk, in the eyes of the investment community as they continue the process of raising capital. Very interesting, I think, to you entrepreneurs. We'll be back in a moment.